The last part of the implementation will be to create our SAP Netweaver BPM process. First we'll have a small overview, then we'll define our process diagram. After that we will implement a human activity and an automated activity. We will complete our process implementation and create a startup service. So as a reminder, first we created our enterprise service in the enterprise services repository. We then imported this enterprise service in the composite application framework, and we implemented it as an application service, which we exposed as a web service in the service registry. And now we're going to create our process in the SAP Netweaver BPM. This process will have a human activity and an automated activity. For the human activity, we will use a WebDimpro component, and for the automated activity, we will use our web service published in the service registry. To complete the process context, we will also make use of our service definition in the enterprise services repository. Finally, we will expose this process through a WSDL with custom input parameters. So the WSDL can be consumed by a Visual Composer application, a Java server face, or a WebDimpro application. The first part will be to define the process diagram. So therefore, we navigate to the Netweaver Developer Studio. We click File, New, Project. We're not going to select the development component this time. We'll select the Process Composer development component. We save it in My Components. And we'll give it a name, BPS Rec Process. So as you can see on the left hand side, this creates a new process project, and within this project we have references to the connectivity, the process modeling, and the source. Under process modeling you see processes. Let's create a new process by right clicking processes. We'll accept the default settings, only we'll also create a new pool. So here you see the first version of our process. It just has a start event and an end event. First thing we will do is remove the connection between those two, because we're going to add our own flow objects. And then in this pool we are going to create a new lane. Actually, in this lane the automated activity will be executed. So we give it an appropriate name, and then we also rename the default lane where the call center agent will verify the customer input data. So first we're going to start with implementing the human activity. So we go to the start event and drag a new activity on the screen of type human. So we give it a name. And remember, inside this activity the call center agent will decide whether the customer input data is valid or not. So he will approve or reject the customer input data. Therefore, we now construct a gateway of type exclusive choice. So if the customer call agent accepts the customer input, this gateway will lead to an automated activity. So now all we have to do is connect the gateway to the end event and also the automated activity to the end event. As you can see, the gateway has two branches named alternative 1 and alternative 2. So now let's rename those branches to a more appropriate definition. So alternative 1 will become the approved branch. So this is the case when the call center agent accepts the customer input data. And the other branch will be the rejected branch. This means the call center agent doesn't accept the customer input data. So now we have our process definition. If we save it, you can see that we have 3 errors with the 2 activities and the gateway because there's no code behind them yet.